Hello everyone, Panyu here. Just a few notes before we kind of begin. We got the Discord over here to the your right-hand side. That's where all the community lives. There's a link inside the YouTube description. So if you want to be part of the Art Blocks community, definitely check that out. And make sure tonight, if you are watching this live, to jump into the Art Block Mints channel. That's where everyone in the community will kind of be conversing. And then we're changing it up this week. If you have any questions throughout the entire discussion, message Druid with any of those questions, and he'll kind of collect them. And towards the end, when we're doing the Squiggle giveaway, he'll jump on live with us and he'll ask those questions to whomever he wanted to. So just feel free to message Druid, ping him inside the chat, and we'll get that taken care of later on. And finally, gas prices, they're going to be up over here. They'll be updating every about like 10, 12 seconds. So if you're minting anything, check it out. And then finally, if you like the YouTube channel that we're kind of building, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss any of their future episodes. But with further ado, welcome to another edition of Art Blocks After During Mints. First off, we're going to introduce Art Block creator, Snowfro.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you too. Our special guest, Daïm, and art block collector, Westophalopolis. We have a great show upcoming right here tonight. Looking forward to talking with everyone. So first, we're going to go ahead and introduce Daïm. How are you doing tonight?
Great. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Yeah, pleasure. And thank you for being here, carving out some time, being with us, answering some questions. A lot of people don't know, but you are one of the early OG art block projects to launch on the platform. But with that being said, how did you learn about the NFT space? How did you learn about when did you realize, when did something click inside you that said, okay, I want to explore the NFT crypto area?
So I guess, I don't know, let's say flirting with the crypto art space began, I think, as early as maybe early to mid 2019. I had been somewhat active on Twitter, and I guess some of the artists I was following, were involved with crypto art, and I started, seeing more and more of that on my Twitter feeds. Initially, I think probably same as a lot of artists, I didn't really get what was going on, and not all of it made sense to me, but I saw enough of it that by the end of 2019, I realized that I should be trying to see if I can find my own way in the NFT space, and so I started in 2019 on Known Origin and Super Rare, I think in December.
Okay, and I'm sure the space has obviously changed significantly since then. Well, how did you hear about the Art Blocks platform? How did you meet Eric and the team?
So that's, I think, interesting. Eric and I first started chatting here and there. I think it might have been maybe mid 2020. I was introduced to Eric by my good friend and pioneering crypto artist Fabian Rashid. He told me that there's this guy who has this really interesting new approach to generative art, and that I should check it out. And so I think I got an invitation to Eric's then, I'm assuming, mostly private or private-ish Discord channel, and he explained to me what was going on, and I sort of sent him a processing project that I already had, that he sort of kind of brought into, I guess, what was then the super alpha, or maybe beta by then, version of Art Blocks. And yeah, I sort of saw a little bit of the power and possibility, but I wasn't certainly at that point entirely awakened to how huge this was going to be and how quickly. Um, but yeah, that was our beginning, right, Eric?
Yeah, no, you were one of the first ones for sure, and you were ready to go when it was time for the next set of artists. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So why, Daïm, why did you decide to launch on Art Blocks? Was there something specific that Art Blocks had that Super Rare or Known Origin didn't have?
Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, um, I'll be perfectly honest. A big part of the reason why, once Art Blocks launched or I guess on the main net, I sort of jumped back into conversations with Eric is because it was very obvious from pretty early on that this was getting big and was only going to get bigger. And I think I don't know. I think I remember a conversation with Eric where he was he was excited about art blocks climbing in the charts, and I was saying, I mean, at this rate, clearly, you're going to be in competition with the likes of Super Rare and the other main platforms that have been sort of the leaders of the crypto art scene before long. Um, but I mean, in terms of what art blocks offered to me as a generative artist, that I couldn't have on known origin or super rare. Um, I mean, the whole sort of crypto art scene has this odd relationship to ideas of scarcity, which are sometimes polarizing, and every now and then we have these big Twitter discussions about whether we should mint more or we should mint less. But um, you know I think there's absolutely very good arguments for scarcity, and the arguments for an artist being cautious with what they mint are you know foolproof. To me, that's not even a discussion that needs to be had. But when you have a platform for artists of every kind, including people who create manual paintings with thousands of hours put into every single piece, and then you have artists who work with code, and it's like a super different experience, and the output is different, and there's just no comparison almost between those two worlds. And you basically technologically sort of force um, this kind of single one size fits all idea of scarcity onto all the artists. It's going to lead to weird results.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so yeah, I mean, art blocks basically freed generative artists to take a concept, polish up the code, and basically make their own determination with relative freedom as to what makes sense. Is this the sort of concept where you can take 100 pieces and have them be relatively different and interesting, or is this something that actually has the capacity to do quite a bit more, as of course was the case with my own Cryptoblots?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to get into Cryptoblots. That's the project you did for your creative project with Art Blocks. But I do want to just see. I'm always interested to see the progression of, people's art, that they mint on the blockchain. And so, do you mind sharing with us, the first mint that you ever created?
Of course. Yeah, so the very first mint I tokenized, and I should say, really, we're talking about two mints, because having started on known origin and super rare, I basically tokenized two different works, I think maybe within a day or two of each other. But the very, very first was my known origin piece, which I think we should have on the screen.
Yeah, we're gonna pull it up right now.
Yeah, so that's the one. This is Seal of the Transdimensional Kaganate. And this was, I don't quite recall the exact date, but basically early to mid-December 2019. So this was my first piece overall and my first piece unknown origin. And then this piece, Eminent Blossoms, was my first tokenization on super rare. And now I'm going to try to just give you a bit better sense of
The details.
sort of the details. It's a pretty big file, so kind of takes a little while for the anti-aliasing to kick in as I zoom in, but as you can see, it's quite a big and deep piece.
And this is a generate.
And,
Is this a generated piece?
It's a generative piece with basically photographic texture applied instead of flat colors. And this piece in particular was actually purchased by Pablo from Mocha fame.
Yeah,
and,
big collector. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those mints with us. I do want to get into Cryptoblots, which was your first and only project currently right now on the Artblocks platform. So, as Eric was saying earlier, it sounded like you had your code all ready to go once you met with Eric and kind of heard about the platform. So, like, how did the idea of Cryptoblots come together, and can you just kind of take us through that?
Absolutely. So the idea of Cryptoblots was, I guess I would say maybe in some ways incremental to an earlier project or series that I did, actually predating my CryptoArt days by quite a bit. Cryptoblots are, of course, if you have a sense of how things might work algorithmically, probably most people recognize it's basically a sort of there are a series of random walks or random walk generated shapes with filled in colors, and between the different multiplicities, sometimes stacking 2 or 3 of them, and of course some algorithmic tweaking to make sure that the results are nice and interesting and aesthetic and so on. But the original concept again goes back to I think 2015 or 2016 when I was doing basically these random walks in a more I guess monochrome and sort of non-outlined way. Most of that stuff I'm yet to sort of tokenize, with the exception of this piece, which was tokenized on known origin. This one is called the German Boxer Esquire. For reasons I'm hoping are obvious, I myself at least see sort of a general appearance of a German boxer, kind of with an implied I don't know collar as might be on top of a finely tailored suit. But back then this series was very much a curated affair. So what I would do is the algorithm was a lot simpler than what I eventually used for Cryptoblots. So I'd literally generate 10,000 of these, and every now and then I'd go through them, and when out of the 10,000 I found 3 that I felt looked reasonably enough like something that they were warranting attention, I kept them and sort of deleted the other 9,997 and moved on. So it was basically this concept that I began turning into Cryptoblots and um, sort of sought to polish up and add a bit of complexity in terms of rarities and the approach to the outlining and making sure it's resolution independent has become an art block staple and so on and so forth.
Was this their first time then using the hash in order to generate a piece of art?
Um,
Or was that something I guess you used on the other platforms, but it was more like internally? It wasn't dealing with the platform itself.
I mean, my other works, have used, I guess, this pseudo-random sort of randomized but repeatable generation concept because, since a lot of my generative stuff is curated in that same way of, you make 10,000 and you might keep one or three. It's one of those things where you don't want to generate 10,000 images in, full 4K resolution if you're not going to keep, 99.9% of them.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely, Cryptoblots and art blocks that first utilized this in this innovative way of sort of letting the purchase transaction determine what artwork you get.
Do you mind showing us a couple of the mints, like some of your favorite mints from that project, from the Cryptoblots project?
Absolutely.
So there's 15. There's 1,500. Is that correct? Total.
There's actually 1921.
1920. And how did you come up with that number specifically?
So Cryptoblots are sort of my homage to the Rorschach inkblot perception test, which
okay.
we all know from TV psychologists, if
Yeah.
nothing else. And 1921 was the year when Hermann Rorschach published the book that initially outlined the ideas that would become the inkblot perception test.
Very cool.
So
yeah, tell us about this
selected-
mint. Yeah.
So I selected quite a few of my favorites. I probably won't spend too much time on each of them just for the sake of everyone's sanity. And I'll forewarn that, certainly not all by any means, but a good few of these are mine because, some of them I liked so much, in fact, that I had to sort of try to acquire them even if I didn't mint them originally. This is Cryptoblot 38, which to me gives sort of a wasp queen vibe, and I love the fact that there's portions with complexity and there's portions that are exceedingly simple. It's a nice sort of juxtaposition of the different ways Cryptoblots can go. This is 99, which, to me looks very much like kind of, little demons kind of sitting up against one another's backs with a little horn at the side. This one I find very iconic. This is Cryptoblot 207. Has a bit of a mask vibe going on. This one, number 224, has got this orchid formation that is just very striking to my eyes. This one actually was early on dubbed Times of COVID on account of the figure at the center that looks a little bit like somebody wearing a mask. So this one is very special to me in that regard. This one, Picasso heads on a flying Valkyrie. Yeah, and then I'll go through the rest of them. I won't stop for every single one. this looks to me like such a uniquely stylized alien that I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. Um, Looking a little too cerebral, which as a generative artist who works with code, is an obvious appeal to me. Um, Kind of a, I don't know, church bell with a transformer on top. Yeah, there's quite a few ones that I find very striking. Here again, I think there's some alien vibes going on.
Yeah, I see a lot of
Not,
like bugs and animals, and I truly believe that like Cryptoblots just like brings out the best of your imagination. I was
I
talking
think
to
so.
my friend Luke right here, and I was telling him what I saw, and then he saw something completely different, and I think that's kind of the beauty about generative art, also, just in its sense that we all perceive things just a little bit differently.
Absolutely, and I think that was always the core idea with Cryptoblots. That here's this project where uh, you know I I am the artist who sort of set the guidelines for what each iteration could be, and then the code and the hash sort of comes together to do the rest. But really, the art becomes complete when it gets to that stage of probably a lot of the times even almost unwitting interpretation by the viewer, by the collector.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, were there any bugs in the code that you noticed prior to unpausing the project, and you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna leave it in there. Maybe it'll be something that could be like a special mint down the road. Did you leave anything like that in there?
So so yes and no. Something that for a while sort of threatened to be like that was um, my code seemed to have this tendency to trigger, I guess, kind of a built-in, I don't know, internal P5JS bug that occasionally had some weird, graphical glitch in some corner of the cryptoblot figure, very often only on one side, and that seemed like something that looked unavoidable for a while, but thankfully I eventually figured out how to deal with that. And honestly, I'm not sure if I ever properly explained to Eric what my fix for that was, but I suspect it may have been behind some of his headaches on minting day, because what actually happens is, how the art blocks projects are supposed to be resolution independent. So normally that means that if you have a browser window that is at HD size, then that's the size that the art blocks piece is going to get generated at. If you have it on some tiny ass old 640 by 480 laptop, then you only get a 640 by 480 image generated. But that's not actually the case with cryptoblots. Cryptoblots are generated not directly onto the canvas, but in memory initially at a minimum of 2400 by 2400 pixels. And if the browser window happens to be smaller than that, then basically it gets downscaled after it's been fully generated to that size. And that was that seemed to be the only way to get rid of those weird visual glitches. However, despite all my checking and rechecking, um, sort of an unintended I don't know thing stayed in the code. um, Most of the so cryptoblots can be all these different colors, but the colors, you can classify to the different shades. So there are reds, there are yellows and purples and browns and so on. And for the most part, the code tries to shape the frequency of certain colors within a given shade in certain ways. So, of every shade, there's, colors that are very common, ones that are less so, ones that are even less so, and so on and so forth. Um, that all works sort of as intended, even as, of course, the, eventual outcome is not perfectly symmetrical between the different shades, which is fine. But the one color, beaver brown, actually had I don't know if to call it a typo or an oversight, but basically the frequency shaping in the code essentially allowed for it to occur twice as often as intended. Now it's still a very rare color. I think there are less than 30 cryptoblots with beaver brown in them, so it's not one of those things that made them super uncommon. But um, you know the intended shaping was for probably less than 20 to occur altogether. So it's one of those weird things where I don't know. I guess if you value this sort of thing, beaver browns are in their own sort of odd little way almost more special than some even rarer colors, because of the fact that um, again there's a bit of a glitch involved in how often they can occur.
Yeah, and what I really loved about Cryptoblots is that, it was the fourth project launched on Artblocks, but it was one of those, like, projects now sell out like 10 minutes, half an hour, within a day. But it was nice to see that, kind of slowly, sell over, the course of several weeks, or, I mean, it might even been like at least more than a month. I would say like a month or two.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that,
it took a while.
is it, when you see those mints come through, and then if you're seeing something too often or not often enough, do you start like panicking a little bit inside because you're like, all right, is this not going to show up at all, or is this showing up too many times? Does that ever occur to you?
um, I mean, I guess there were moments of worry and doubt here and there, but at the same time, one thing I was never worried or concerned about was the size of the series. Um, it was at the time, and I think possibly even to this day, it might be the largest, other than for the Chromie Squiggles. Uh, but there was reasoning behind that, and I don't just mean the whole symbolic 1921 number.
There's so many
That
outputs, like the possibilities are endless.
exactly, there were so many outputs, and honestly, I think it was one of those things where um, I myself would have been reluctant to do much more than what I opted for, but going too much less, and I think you would have just missed out on too much. And until the very end, there were every now and then just outputs that I thought were interesting and novel and different than most everything else that had been generated there until. And I say that as the guy who had also seen all of the mints on the test net,
Yeah.
and as the guy who had probably done several thousand tests even before the algorithm came to its full final polished form.
Yeah.
So
It's great.
yeah, I think it was one of those things where I thought that ultimately there would be a benefit to the series and to its collectors to be able to showcase as close as possible to the full variety of what that algorithm can accomplish.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things, maybe for people that are newer to the art block scene, you're one of the only artists, as far as I know, that priced it in something other than ETH. It was priced in DAI, which is like a stable coin. Can you tell us the reasoning for that decision?
So initially, actually, it started out to be priced in F as well, and that was a switch done. I think it might have been early-ish in the new year. I'm not sure if you remember otherwise, Eric,
Mhm.
but anyways, it was around maybe January, February of 2021, and I think
It was just first of the year for sure. I mean, because we created the second contract specifically so we could do that with you.
right,
Well,
right, right.
one of the reasons was to accept stable coins and etc. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
early
yeah.
on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the thinking behind it was I think Eric had been approached by MakerDAO, the people behind Dai, and basically they were looking for artists to feature and showcase and sort of try to, I guess, a little bit co-opt their Dai brand. Um, and it seemed like a good opportunity, and the hope and expectation was that pricing in Dai might actually open up interest from a broader range of collectors, including those people who maybe weren't super comfortable with the wild ups and downs of crypto, and wouldn't want to hold more than a bare minimum of ETH for fear of losing their life savings and whatnot. And I don't fully know to what extent that came to be realized, but I mean, it certainly seems to be that for a project as large as it is, I think there's a very pleasantly varied and wide range of collectors that hold Cryptoblots, and given the depth and many partly still being unveiled intricacies of the project, uh, as partly showcased on my recent Cryptoblot Explorer website. I think it's one of those things where the best is yet to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cryptoblots has been completed for a couple months now, and do you have any plans for a factory release or like another curated project down the road? It's been a while, and I think I speak for I think a couple other people I know would be very much interested in seeing another project from you.
So funny you should ask. One thing that has held me back from trying to sort of rush forward with that was that from the beginning, I had conceptualized Cryptoblots as a project with kind of a long and potentially very healthy and active afterlife on the secondary market, and partly I was working on the Cryptoblots Explorer website to support that, and I'm continuing to develop that and continuing to sort of work on integrating more metrics and measures to let people more fully experience what the series has to offer. But in fact, I am at a point where, alongside continuing to work on all that and other projects, um, I do in fact have a mostly complete generative project that is probably art blocks ready
Okay, there
as
we
of
go.
today already. Um, so I may well be in touch with Eric and Jeff to see what might be the best way to get that into collectors' hands.
Awesome. Is that something you think you would do? Yeah, I think I see Eric over there clapping, and inside, I'm really happy to hear that. Is that something you think you would wait for another curated project, or is this would it be more of a playground?
Um, yeah, I mean that's one thing I'm still kind of mulling over. We'll probably have to ask for some wisdom and insight on that from Eric and Jeff once I've given them a sneak peek. I can tell you it's a pretty different series from Cryptoblots, and it's I don't know if I would say a new direction for me, but it's a direction I'm very excited about, and um, yeah. But I mean, it's if it can get on curated, perhaps before the end of the year, I might very well be willing to wait some time, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm for one would definitely be excited to, to hear when you do release that. And I'm just assuming you'll post that on your Twitter page or in your own channel in the art blocks.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Once I get to a point where there's a bit of clarity on the path and direction it's gonna go, I'll be posting both on Twitter and in my Art Blocks channel. Maybe some teasers here and there, and start generating interest.
Cool. We'll keep a lookout on for that. Moving on to like a next topic, what are some, we have a lot of new artists, a lot of new collectors that are slowly, I mean, in the past month and a half, I'd say even in the last, week, there's, I think, been an uptick in new people in the space. What are, for the artists, the new artists, the generated artists that are interested in the art block space, like, what are some words of advice that you would give to somebody who is looking to launch a potential, factory project or a curated project? Is there anything, that you would be like, if they knew about this, and maybe this would benefit them to be approved?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key to success on a platform like Art Blocks, I don't think there really is anything else quite like Art Blocks out there. So success on Art Blocks, I think, involves finding a way as a generative artist to make your peace with the fact that you know unlike maybe our normal mode of operation of sort of cherry picking the best of what there is in an algorithm from the haystack. Here we need to sort of make our peace with the fact that we can't control everything, and so there's a bit of extra challenge to take an algorithm that maybe generates interesting output after every 100th run, to sort of figuring out what makes those 1 out of 100 iterations uh, excellent the way they are, and try to find a way to streamline the logic and operation of the algorithm, so that 1 out of 100 happens way more often. um,
Cool.
so my advice would be experiment and research and test and test and test and polish, and you will eventually get to that plateau that you probably started out thinking wasn't even possible.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's also important to let people know, it's just, if they're unsure of like something they think looks good or not, jump into some of the channels on Discord and, ask some of the artists. There's so many different channels and collectors that they would be more than happy to give you some, advice as to what they think. And I think it's just like super important, but also just, don't, I think it's just important for, as an artist, to trust your gut, but then also also just receive information from people who have already been on the platform and collectors who have been in this space for a while as well.
Absolutely, and I think we have such an amazing community, both art blocks, but I mean even crypto art as a whole. um, I myself am certainly always open to hear from fellow artists, and if somebody approaches me with good intent and a genuine request for help, I've never been known to turn someone away.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Do you want to share with us a couple? I don't know if you had a couple more mints, or I know you'll have an event upcoming soon that you wanted to share with the community as well.
Yeah, so um, let me. So I have a few other pieces that I sort of put together to show you. I'll just cycle through them. This is actually my piece that's part of the Genesis collection of the Museum of Crypto Art. This is called Title Removed for Trademark Violation. Hopefully for obvious reasons. This one is another early super rare piece of mine called Prince of Blades. Also was a piece that was purchased by Pablo, and this actually was recently featured in a Germany-based international art magazine on generative art and NFT art. This is Marinara Salvage, also in Pablo's collection. This one is one of my less obviously generative pieces, perhaps. La Gioconda, which is basically an AI slash GAN assisted classical remix of not the Mona Lisa, but the Mona Lisa in Prado.
Stunning piece, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, I feel very strongly about it myself. Then Drifting Durer was my first audiovisual AI slow art piece. I'm not going to be able to show the video here right now, but basically the concept behind this piece is kind of a slowly transitioning, drifting, if you will, set of faces derived from Durer's original self-portrait. And then Ancestral Memory is a not identical concept, but also a slow art AI GAN piece that was actually on the short list of the 2020 NFT awards, alongside some other big names that I was very thrilled to find myself associated with. This was still in the lead up times to my art block fame, and some more recent stuff on Foundation from me, including my some pieces from my 13 Planets series. And yeah, the big event I have coming up is actually on July 9th. Now, this poster, my apologies, is in Hungarian, so won't say much to a lot of our viewers, but I'll be posting the English version and some more info on Twitter soon. Basically, I will have some works on exhibition in Hungary at an exhibit that's sponsored with a grant from the European Union's Capital of Culture or Cultural Capital Fund. And there'll be a number of other Hungarian AI and generative artists participating. This will be my, not counting on my stuff, obviously, second physical international exhibition after I was part of an exhibit in the Royal Cornwall Museum back in 2019.
Oh, very nice. And by the way, I haven't even mentioned it yet, but congratulations on having one of your pieces on the Sotheby's lot that sold a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean that was a wild ride and an amazing experience. I think as an artist, that kind of set a daunting, high mark to now try to sort of I don't know, try to overcome or
To top
surpass in the
that,
coming
yeah,
years.
yeah.
But you know what? Like in this space, it feels like everything's possible. So it was amazing, and it's an accomplishment that I'm grateful for to Eric and Jeff, who I'm sure did far more work behind the scenes to make it happen than any of us realize. And it set the tone for 2021 for me, and onward and upward from there.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have a couple more questions after we do the Squiggle giveaway. You know, from Druid, he's gonna come in and ask some questions that the community
Right.
have for you. But I want to get to Westophalopolis. Do you hear me, Westoph?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. You're the first person that we're going to have. I think this is going to be something that we're going to try to, have some collectors on, share some of their favorite mints, talk how they got to the platform. But yeah, it looks like you're in your crypto voxel right now in your parcel space. But before, you can definitely feel free to go around. I'm going to ask just a couple questions. How did you learn about, art blocks and get into the NFT space?
Yeah, so I learned about art blocks actually. So with the NFT space, I found out about it way long ago, back when CryptoKitties, and I heard about punks back in like 2017. I wish I collected them, but no one would have known. Like that was one of those things. Like, and yeah, so messed around with some CryptoKitties and stuff back then, but yeah, just kind of let it sit on the back burner. It wasn't until I started hearing about it more in January that I was like, all right, I'll get back into this kind of space, find out about it. And just on OpenSea one day, I saw the archetypes drop, like all those flooding in, and they just looked amazing. Like, just I was surprised. I thought, and up to that point too, everything for NFTs wise I saw was just a simple like upload a JPEG, PNG, or GIF or something onto the onto like a shared contract or an ERC 721 they'd set up. But then when I started digging more into actually what Art Blocks was about and kind of saving the code and just curating all this different art, I started falling in love with it. So my first my first drop I tried to be a part of was 720 minutes. And I got outgassed. That was still during like the gas wars and everything.
Yeah.
So I had to like grab one off secondary. I'm like, I used 500 gas. How is this not like this is not going through? So yeah, then Apparitions was my next one that I grabbed, but I just couldn't stop. I started looking through all these different projects that were there at that time too. Factory was just starting to get spun up, and a bunch of good things off of Playground were getting dropped. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Cool. Well, so 720 minutes was you got ad gas in that. I mean, if people knew how much gas that was now, I mean, it would blow people's minds. It's just insane. We were talking about 500, 700 gas, and then now we're trying to do it with like 40 gas on like a daily basis, which I think people don't understand how grateful they should be with the current gas situation. Can you just share a couple of your favorite mints in your parcel? Some of the Art Blocks projects, why they stand out or why they mean so much to you?
So my favorite mints wise, I wasn't able to mint any of the squiggles, but I'm happy to at least have grabbed as many of the like kind of different types of squiggles. They're really the idea behind Art Blocks, and it's a great foundation. And that was one of my favorites. And then the messengers most recently, I was so surprised when I saw these coming out of the minter. Like I originally was like, all right, I'll get one or two of these. And then just each one was just so detailed. I think I minted like 7 or 8 that night. It was just like the perfect combination of low gas, a great price, and just everything looking amazing. So I ended up getting quite a few of them, and my favorite one is actually ended up doing some trades with Karate Kid, and traded him to get this one.
The
here we're
caterpillar,
looking
right?
at. Yeah, it looks like a giant caterpillar. It's just so different. If you look at the whole entire set, just this one's just so different than everything else. Um, yeah, so and then some of my other favorite ones, singularities,
I think
are
Eric's screen is
amazing.
doing it
Just
again.
so much detail in there. That's singularity 469. But is the
It's nothing. Eric's screen was doing the same thing it did last week, and he thought he could just wipe it again, but it's not really. We'll work on it.
subscapes? This is subscape 519, and I just was amazed when this came out of the minter. Just seeing how all the different details are in it. Apparitions, 680, one of my favorites as well. And then, of course, I actually just traded in to get this archetype.
Oh, nice.
I've never been able to get archetypes. I actually traded a Fidenza and a couple other things around to get this one.
Oh, wow.
But mainly just I wanted to get an archetype because what I have going is also a collection of paper armadas.
That is such a cool display, man.
Awesome way to show the paper armada.
Yeah.
Crap.
And so I eventually want to get all of these like printed out, like maybe the like mothership and a little bit bigger, but get them printed out and have them like kind of tiled up in like eventually a kid's room or something.
Oh, yeah.
Just it reminds me of like old school like Atari video games. Like I love this color scheme because it looks like Centipede. And then I dropped it in the minting channel, but so one of the things I'm waiting for is a swarm, but I want a swarm in this palette. So I offered if anyone does get a Tropico swarm, I'll trade them this Fidenza. Just straight up 1-to-1.
Love
What a
it.
deal.
I
Damn.
love that.
I mean, the Fidenza's way more, but I mean, it's going to take me forever just to go through all those to find that. So, but yeah.
That's such a cool way to display. I mean, as you know, Eric just said, I think that's honestly the coolest way I've ever seen
Yeah, I have not.
the paper armadas displayed before.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just almost like the top left of that mothership just kind of seeps into that next piece.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just like,
Really cool.
you framed everything so well.
Love it. Now I'm going to go do that with mine. Although I have to parse through them. I've been getting a lot of trade offers lately. And I'm like, whoa, like I haven't had a chance to look at mine. Yeah, I haven't dug in a while. And I'm waiting for the minter to hit 2,000 so I can mint my last 100.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there's a lot of details to those. Like, it's surprisingly deceiving how deep they are.
I got
you zoom in, it's pretty special, yeah.
I got two questions for you. The first one is, what do you love most? Art Blocks community is obviously one of the biggest things I think about this generative art space is that, people are coming together, helping, like you were saying, you'd offer up this Fidenza for a swarm, and it's like, you see it happening all the time. People trading so that they can complete their sets. Like, what, in your mind, like, what is the best part about, the Art Blocks community?
I think probably the best part about the community is just how vocal we are with like talking with each other, helping each other out, and just kind of like socializing. It feels very much like just a nice social space. Some of the different communities I've seen out there, it's very much like kind of one-track minded, and they're all kind of focusing toward a single thing. I feel like with Art Blocks, there's just so many different people from so many different aspects, with coders, artists, creators, collectors, just a mix of so many different types of backgrounds, all brought together because of art. And then also, there's so many little different communities. You have the Ringers discussion going on each day, like going through in Dimitri's channel, or you have like a couple other different channels just to kind of pop in and see what's going on, seeing like new projects and ideas getting like bounced off the walls for Playground. So I love it.
Cool. Well, we're happy to obviously have you a part of the community. What would be a piece of advice? I mentioned this before, like we have new collectors coming in. Like what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to somebody that's a new collector in
speed up your transactions after you send them through. Just double check on gas. But I would say for collecting wise, just get what you like. I mean, yes, there's certain things that, like, right now I know that elevated deconstruction is going nuts in the pricing and all that. But if it's something that doesn't speak to you, then get something that you feel you can hang up on your wall and have there for the rest of your life. Get something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're starting out, it's like you want to feel like you can connect with this piece of art, and then maybe down the road you're going to go back and start collecting, pieces to complete a curated set or a Sotheby's set. I feel like we've seen a lot of that in the past few days.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Yeah, Sotheby's set, but that's kind of a couple tricky ones. Still have to get my ringer. That's one my list, and then still have to get. Unfortunately, elevated deconstruction. I remember seeing them when they were like 0.4. Now they're like what, 3?
5.
Oh my god.
It was 2 ETH yesterday, and then I was like, all right, I gotta get one. I was like chatting in the sales channel. I was like, cool, I gotta get one. And then I know Pixel P got one, and then I think a couple others just sold. And I think right now there's maybe less than 15 on the market, and yeah, the floor is at 5, which is bonkers.
Well, Pipe Squiggle just got traded not too long ago, so there's only one more left before it jumps up to 15. So I can't believe how crazy those things are going.
Yeah, those things are going to be, I think, once all those squiggles are gone, yeah, it'll be just interesting to see like where like the pipe squiggles or just squiggles in general kind of like go from there. I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing about that. But thank you so much, Westophalopolis.
Westophalopolis.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry. I knew it was going to happen, but thank you so much for being here, for talking to us about your favorite mints and, just being a part of the community. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to see other people and everything on this. So.
Yeah, we're going to have more collectors, down the road. But for now, I'm going to jump in the Art Block Mint channel on Discord, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to deploy the Squiggle giveaway. So if you guys are there right now, you'll see it. Just make sure you click on the ta-da button once. As usual, click on the beers for good luck. And then I'm sure somebody will drop a 4-leaf clover. Oh, there it is. All right, yeah, drop that too. But yeah, now we have about 3.5, 4 minutes before we find out the winner of the Squiggle. We're going to bring on Druid, who's going to start asking some questions from the community.
Hey guys, you're able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Welcome, Druid. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Awesome show today. Kill it every week, so I just want to give you more props than you usually get because you do a good job. So I
appreciate it. Yeah, I love doing it. So yeah, you have any questions for for either Snowfro or for Daïm?
Yeah, so Daïm, first question. Who are your biggest artistic influences within the generative community? And then what are your biggest influences outside of the artistic community and what really drives you to create?
That's a big question. Within the generative art world, the big classical algorists with Vera Molnar in the lead are my early influences, and I'm actually hoping to start exploring some interesting ways of maybe doing more homages to some of these early pioneers of the genre outside of the generative art community. I would say I have some pretty broad influences. I have I have an interest in both classical art as well as contemporary stuff, and a lot of my fellow crypto artists inspire me a great deal from Fabian Rashid to a lot of the more recent arrivals to our community. And yeah, my inspirations are numerous, but also because I'm grounded in sort of code-based generation. A lot of the times, you know, I may start off from one point with one intention, and you know, the math and the code and, you know, the unexpected outputs sometimes take me in very different areas by the end of it.
Cool. Any other questions, Druid?
Yeah. So maybe you can expand a little bit on, what's your art and technical background, and do you consider yourself an artist first or a developer first? I don't know if the question's redundant. I just thought it would be interesting.
No. The question makes sense. So my artistic background is kind of weird and a little bit. There's a large gap, I would say. As a child, I started out having a very strong focus on the visual arts. I was actually born in Hungary and spent a number of years studying visual arts under Jenő Zaslavik, a name which, you know, probably isn't well known outside of Hungary, but the gentleman was a renowned artist and educator, and so it was a very lasting experience studying under him. But all of that stuff was focused on sort of manual, visual arts done by hand and sort of all kind of classically focused. After moving to Canada at the age of 12, my interest started shifting away from sort of arts and humanities in more, I guess, technical directions. And it was not until the early 2010s that these two different, foundations of mine started sort of getting conjoined by my interest in generative and mathematical art. So, that's I guess sort of the art background coming to meet the coding stuff. As to what I think of myself as, I would say I see myself very much as an algorithmic and mathematical artist, and my being a coder is, I guess, more of an enabling or empowering factor to try to fully realize those visions and bring, the mathematical vistas into reality for my collectors.
Cool. Any other questions, Druid, from the community?
Yeah, I have two more. I'll make them quick. Feel free to stop me if we want to get to the Squiggle minting. I don't want to get in the way of that. Okay.
Squiggle Mint is in play. It'll happen eventually.
So one thing I think is interesting is maybe you can give us a little insight into what your creative process looks like. Is it more sporadic, or are you more, detail oriented, sit down and get to work for a certain amount of time each day? How do you approach creating?
So I wouldn't say there's necessarily something as disciplined as set hours each day, though, since I started getting into crypto art, the number of hours I spend on generative art has certainly gone way up on the average day. I think, probably even on most weekends, to be perfectly honest. But my process, I would say, is essentially to sort of sit down pick the project and explore and iterate, and if and when it makes sense, identify problems that need to be attacked or resolved, and sort of persist until you're through the next roadblock. Every now and then, I would add that if I can, I have a great love of taking a bottom-up approach. So a lot of times I will spend considerable time building the sort of low-level tools and functions that make sense for the given algorithm or generative series, and by the time I'm close to the end, I may have a high-level main loop that consists of perhaps no more than a few dozen lines of code. But behind that, of course, there's hundreds and sometimes thousands more lines making the magic happen behind the scenes.
Cool. And you have one more question, Druid?
Yeah, I'll be quick and wrap it up here. Cryptoblots is such a large project. I was just curious, is there anything that's underappreciated in your project, or something you wish had more attention when you were seeing the mints come out?
I think it's just one of those things where the depth and breadth of the project makes it difficult to fully take in if your exposure to it comes in sort of the individual mints. My Cryptoblots Explorer website that I recently launched, I think makes it a bit easier to get a fuller sense of the different ways that the different traits and rarities and features sort of come together. And I think there's a lot that's underappreciated, but I'm hard at work in bringing collectors a broader view of the project as a whole, and all its intricacies. And I think it's not going to stay underappreciated for long.
Beautiful, man. That's all I have on my end. I appreciate all the time you've taken today, and brilliant interview on everybody's part. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Druid. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. Well, Daïm, it looks like the Squiggle transaction is pending right now. So, it'll come up momentarily. But, Daïm, do you have any way people that they can reach out to you? Do you have any social media or websites that, people can find you?
Absolutely. I actually prepared a sort of a slide with all that info, which I think we now have on the screen. And I'd just like to say it's been lovely to chat with you guys, and thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Eric, for making all of this happen from the very beginning with the platform as a whole, and all the opportunities since. It's been an amazing ride, and I know we have a lot further to go, and I'm thrilled to be along for the ride.
Thanks for early faith in the in the platform, and yeah, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this amazing team of people that we work with too, which is awesome. So really, yeah, it's pretty crazy times.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Eric, do you have any, while we're waiting for the Squiggle to come through, are there any news updates? I know we have a big drop upcoming Friday. Do you have any information you can share with the community?
Oh man, I'm getting some really interesting messages on Twitter from people that want to do drops on art blocks. I can't share them, but I just wish so much that I could share them, because it's like, wait, what? So anyways, yeah, we're getting some pretty cool inbound. I think soon we'll be able to start sharing some more concrete details with everybody. I'm not trying to be mysterious or whatever. It's just there's just a lot of stuff coming, and until we get LOIs and stuff, it's not really out there. I think this Friday's mint is going to be pretty special. Jeff is going to have an opening at Bright Moments Gallery in LA, and at the same time, Casey Reese is going to do his drop. I think that's why it's a little bit later. It's so that they can all be at the gallery at the time of the mint. So I think it's going to be really cool because Jeff's going to be with Casey during the drop. And he also did a very limited edition of 10 on the playground that he's going to auction on OpenSea. So pretty excited to see that piece. It reminds me of James Turrell, my favorite artist. So that's pretty cool. And then Bright Moments is also doing a pretty cool little factory drop. By the way, I think the mint went through with a custom piece that they made that only people that visit the gallery and people that are in their DAO are going to get to mint. So it's a neat use case. If you go to I don't want to speak out of place, but I think if you go to the gallery, they'll let you mint one of their pieces, and that's going to be the only way to get it. And I think, it'll be fun to see what art blocks, if that's enough to drive someone out to go out to LA to mint a piece.
Cool.
Oh, there we go. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, wow. Some nice purples, blues, and reds and pinks. Love that one. Congrats to
NFT Dream.
Yeah, NFT
That's
Dream.
Awesome. Sweet. And I'm totally going to mint one for West. That Armada was the most inspirational
Yeah,
thing I've seen
I agree.
in a
I
really
thought
long
that
time.
was so cool.
You look out for that later, Westophalopolis.
Nice. Love that. Cool. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
gotta love it. Cool. Is there anything else actually, Eric, or?
Man, yeah, no, I mean, off the top of my head, that's it. I actually disconnected a lot this weekend. I feel pretty out of touch. I missed the drop today. I'm so pissed off. But it was Father's Day. We had in-laws in town and lots of stuff going on over here, so I kind of lost track. So I'll be there on the secondary market to pick some of those up. But yeah, no, otherwise, looking forward to a very busy week and making some really awesome announcements early in the week about people that are really awesome parts of our community that are going to get a little bit more important positions in our community. Really excited about those announcements, and yeah, that's about it for me.
Awesome. Well, Eric, I want to thank you so much for obviously putting on the platform. I want to thank Daïm for being our special guest tonight, and then
Thanks,
also for Westophalopolis. Thank you so much for being here. I had to phonetically space it out, but thank you so much for sharing your collection and being here this evening. And to Druid for collecting all those questions and taking time. That's kind of be our new format potentially moving forward. We just wanted to try it out. And my friend Luke, who's here with me, did it all on the back end. So thanks again, Luke. Cool.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, and before we head out, I do want to just do another plug again about our Discord community. We talk about it all the time, and you can see everything here on the right-hand side over here, the Discord channel. That's where the bread and butter, all the livelihood of the collectors, the artists, just people who want to be part of the generative art movement that I feel is just thriving right now because of the platform. So make sure you check out the description of this YouTube video. We have a link straight to the Discord, and people are happy to help you out and just point you in the right direction, whether you're an artist, collector, or just trying to understand the platform and the technology behind it. But other than that, just comment, subscribe to the Art Blocks YouTube channel, and at the end of the day, just be excellent to each other, look after one another, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks again for putting this.